Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and Nye, exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML, a managed service provider in Queens, NY, offering network management, voice over IP, unified communications as a service, cybersecurity compliance, infrastructure as a service, cloud solutions, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you.
It really is. And, it's such a critical topic right now. We're talking about a piece by Len Kaplan called Digital Independence, Protecting America's Organizations in the Age of Cyber Threats.
Right, which is just such a fascinating way to frame it because, think about it. We're coming up on July 4th, 2026, America's 250th anniversary.
Exactly, the big 250.
Yeah, and when we usually think about independence, we think about geography, borders, flags, that sort of thing.
Right, the historical stuff.
But Kaplan is arguing that for modern growing organizations, true independence has completely shifted. It's about protecting the data and the infrastructure that basically keeps our local communities breathing.
Yeah, because without that operational resilience, you don't really have any freedom to run your business.
Exactly. And whether you're running, say, a regional law firm or a multi-location medical practice or, managing IT for a local contractor, your ability to serve your clients is entirely tethered to your cyber posture.
It's your digital foundation.
Right. And hey, just really quick, if you find this breakdown helpful today, or, if you pick up a new strategy for your organization's defense, please go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It really makes a huge difference for us.
It absolutely does.
So, Nye, to understand where Kaplan is taking us, we kind of have to look at the mechanics of modern business, right? Because we've traded this old idea of independence for this really intense web of digital dependence.
We really have. Just think about the standard tech stack you need just to open your doors on a Tuesday morning.
Oh, it's massive.
Right. You've got your cloud platforms, email servers, your voice over IP systems, online banking, remote access gateways.
Electronic health records if you're in medical.
Exactly. File sharing protocols, vendor portals.
Yeah.
And, that's before we even talk about the software running on employee mobile phones.
Or UCaaS, right?
Right. Unified communications as a service.
Which so many organizations rely on now to just bundle their video, their phone systems, their chat into one continuous cloud environment. It's super fast. It makes remote work possible, but it also creates this highly concentrated attack surface.
Yeah, the interconnectedness is the actual vulnerability. Like Kaplan points out that an unpatched firewall isn't just an open door anymore.
No, it's worse.
It's a critical vulnerability that lets a threat actor bypass authentication completely, because these systems talk to each other through shared credentials.
Right, so a single compromised password on some random, seemingly harmless vendor portal?
Yeah, that gives them the exact leverage they need to move laterally right into your core financial systems.
Okay, let's pause and talk about that lateral movement for a second, because the consequences are just severe. If a criminal compromises a Microsoft 365 account, they aren't just sitting there reading your emails, right?
No, they don't care about your office gossip.
Right. They set up these hidden inbox rules, they intercept legitimate vendor invoices, they change the banking routing numbers, and then they just quietly forward the email along.
Yeah, and then the organization wires, $100,000 to an offshore account before anyone even realized the email was intercepted.
It's terrifying. Or, think about the ransomware scenario.
Oh, that's the nightmare.
Right. A malicious payload is deployed, and suddenly you are completely locked out of your own infrastructure. You can't access client records, you can't process payroll, you can't even make phone calls.
You are totally paralyzed. Your independence is just stripped away in seconds.
It's Kaplan has this great analogy. It's like locking the front door of your physical shop, turning on the super expensive alarm system, and then going home.
Sounds good so far.
Right. But you leave the blueprints to your safe, and the master alarm code literally taped to the front window.
Yeah, which is exactly what thousands of growing organizations do with their digital storefronts every single day.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because I hear this all the time.
Go for it.
If I am this sophisticated international ransomware crew, operating out of Eastern Europe or wherever, why am I wasting my time targeting a 50-person accounting firm in Queens?
Right.
Wouldn't I focus all my energy on a massive federal agency or a Fortune 500 company where the payout is tens of millions of dollars?
So that right there is probably the most dangerous misconception in business today.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because it completely ignores the actual economics of modern cybercrime.
Okay, explain that.
Well, people picture a guy in a hoodie sitting at a keyboard, manually typing code to hack one specific small business.
Right, like in the movies.
Right. But that's not how it works at all. Threat actors use automated scanning bots. These bots are just constantly sweeping millions of IP addresses 24/7 looking for known, unpatched vulnerabilities.
Oh, wow. So they aren't actually targeting the organization itself.
Exact.
They're targeting the vulnerability. It's just a totally automated numbers game.
Precisely. To an automated bot, a small business with, say, an open remote desktop port looks exactly identical to a massive enterprise.
But the enterprise has defenses.
Exactly. The enterprise has a dedicated security operations center, layered defenses, alarms going off. The small business, they usually have legacy systems, weak network segmentation, maybe zero monitoring.
So it's just the path of least resistance.
Right. Why would a hacker spend 6 months trying to crack a fortress when their software can automatically breach 500 unlocked small businesses in a single weekend?
Gosh, when you put it like that, it makes total sense.
Okay.
And the problem is, when those local organizations get hit, the blast radius is just devastating to the community.
It really is. Kaplan lists out targets: medical practices, law offices, local contractors, schools, nonprofits.
Municipal partners.
Yeah, these aren't just isolated businesses. They are the nodes that keep a whole local community functioning.
Like, if a local hospital's network goes down, patient surgeries are literally delayed.
Right. Or if a municipal contractor gets locked out, city infrastructure projects just stall.
And the shockwave hits everybody. The employees who can't do their jobs, the clients whose sensitive data is stolen, the vendors who aren't getting paid.
Which brings up the U.S. Small Business Administration's Freedom 250 Small Business Pledge that Kaplan mentions.
Right.
The pledge is meant to celebrate free enterprise leading up to the 250th anniversary. But, I mean, free enterprise simply cannot exist without systemic trust.
Yeah, trust is essentially the currency of business.
Exactly. If a client hands you their financial data or their medical history, they are fully trusting your operational integrity. Cybersecurity isn't just an IT chore anymore. It's the absolute foundation of that trust.
Okay, so we've established the threat. We've established the economic reality of why these attacks happen to small businesses. How does an organization actually secure this this digital independence without, unplugging all their servers and going back to typewriters and filing cabinets? Because Kaplan does provide a very actionable playbook here.
He does. It's very practical.
And real quick, before we get into the actual weeds of this checklist, a quick reminder that you can get more of these deep dive resources and guides by visiting cdml.com and subscribing to their blog.
Definitely do that. So, achieving digital independence is really about having absolute control and visibility over your tech.
Okay.
And Kaplan starts with the foundational layer, which is access and identity. And this goes way beyond just, checking a box for multi-factor authentication.
Right, because we are way past the point where a simple text message MFA code is enough to stop anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
We see attackers routinely bypassing SMS-based multi-factor authentication. They use SIM swapping or adversary-in-the-middle attacks.
Yeah, it's become so common. Organizations really need to be moving toward authenticator apps or hardware security keys for their email, their cloud apps, and their financial systems.
And Kaplan also points out that you have to actively monitor endpoint identities, right?
Right. You have to understand the baseline behavior of your users. But even more critical is his point about role-based access control.
Okay, the principle of least privilege.
Exactly.
I love this concept. Let's look at it like the engineering of a submarine.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. So a submarine is divided into these watertight compartments, and they're separated by heavy bulkheads. If the hull is breached and one section starts flooding, the bulkheads automatically seal.
Right.
The water is contained to that single compartment, and the rest of the ship survives.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. Because if an employee's credentials are compromised, but they only have access to the specific files they need for their immediate job role.
They're in one compartment.
Exactly. The attacker is trapped right there. They cannot access the core financial servers, they can't get to the HR database, and they definitely cannot deploy ransomware across the entire network.
So bulkheads hold.
The bulkheads hold. But if every employee has administrative privileges, just because, it was easier for the ID department to set up on day one,
then the whole submarine sinks. The second one, phishing email, succeeds.
Precisely. So moving from access to software and systems, Kaplan emphasizes something that is really unglamorous but absolutely vital. Patch management.
Oh, patching. Everyone's favorite thing to ignore.
Right. Computers, servers, firewalls, browsers. They have to be continuously updated.
And it's so crucial to remember that software updates are almost never just like fun new features.
No, not at all.
When a vendor releases a patch, they are explicitly telling the public and all the hackers exactly where a vulnerability exists in their code.
Exactly. So if you delay patching your firewall for a month, you are literally leaving a mapped, well-documented exploit wide open on your perimeter.
That's wild. He also highlights a massive blind spot for growing organizations, which is third-party applications.
Oh yes, we integrate so many external tools into our environments. Microsoft 365, QuickBooks, CRMs, all to streamline workflows.
Right, like you install some helpful calendar scheduling app, you grant it read and write permissions to your company's emails, and then you just completely forget it exists.
And if that little scheduling app vendor experiences a data breach 2 years down the line,
The threat actors use it to get to you.
exactly, they use those granted permissions as a direct API bridge right into your secure environment. Organizations have to audit and revoke those third-party access tokens regularly.
Okay, so beyond the patching and the auditing, Kaplan says the modern network requires really intelligent monitoring. Because, legacy antivirus software that relies on known signatures is basically dead at this point.
It's effectively useless against modern threats. Kaplan stresses the need for DNS protection, endpoint detection and response, and identity threat detection and response.
Okay, let's break those acronyms down really quick. EDR and ITDR.
Right. They are non-negotiable in the current landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So EDR, endpoint detection and response, moves away from looking for known bad files. Instead, it looks for malicious behavior on the actual laptops and servers.
Give me an example.
So if an encrypted file suddenly starts executing a script to modify registry keys and delete backup shadow copies.
Which is classic ransomware behavior.
Exactly. EDR recognizes that behavioral pattern and terminates the process in milliseconds. It completely isolates that machine from the network.
Okay, so EDR is watching the physical device's behavior, and then ITDR, identity threat detection and response, that's monitoring the behavioral patterns of the credentials themselves.
Right, the identity.
So like if an employee logs in from their home in Queens at 8:00 a.m., and then those exact same credentials attempt to log into a remote access gateway from an IP address in Eastern Europe at 8:15 a.m.
ITDR flags the impossible travel.
Right, because you can't get to Europe in 15 minutes. So it assumes the identity has been compromised and revokes the session.
It spots the anomaly even when the threat actor is using legitimate passwords.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even with EDR, ITDR, and perfectly patched systems, we still run into the most unpredictable variable in any architecture.
Humans.
The human element. We are the weakest link.
Always. Which is why security awareness training is a massive part of Kaplan's playbook. And to be totally clear, we are not talking about training staff to spot obvious typos or, foreign princes asking for wire transfer.
No, those days are long gone. Modern phishing attacks are heavily engineered.
Like BEC, business email compromise.
Yes. The threat actor will actually monitor an ongoing email thread between your employee and a known vendor for weeks.
Just watching silently.
Just watching. They learn the communication style, they learn the project details, the billing cycle, and then they insert a perfectly timed, flawlessly written email from a lookalike domain with updated wire transfer instructions for a real upcoming invoice.
It's so sophisticated. And we're also seeing a massive rise in malicious QR codes, right?
Pushing, yes.
Yeah. Embedded in physical mail or PDF documents, they're designed to route users to credential harvesting sites that bypass desktop security filters completely.
Because your technology stack cannot prevent an employee from willingly scanning a code on their personal phone and just typing in their corporate password.
It just can't. Continuous simulated training is really the only mitigation for that.
And finally, rounding out the playbook, Kaplan mandates a robust safety net. Immutable backups of your critical data.
Okay, immutable being the absolute key word there.
Yeah.
Because it is not enough to just back up your data to an external drive or, a standard cloud folder anymore.
Not at all. Modern ransomware is explicitly designed to seek out connected backup files and encrypt those first.
Wow.
Yeah, so if your backups aren't air-gapped or cryptographically logged, so they literally cannot be altered or deleted, you really don't have a safety net at all.
And having an immutable backup is completely useless if you've never actually tested your recovery procedures.
It's such a huge point.
Right, because organizations often discover right in the middle of a crisis that restoring, say, 5 terabytes of data from the cloud is going to take 3 weeks because of bandwidth limitations.
And you can't wait 3 weeks to get back online.
No. Which really brings us to a critical realization in Kaplan's article. If you do all of this right, If you deploy the EDR, you enforce hardware MFA, you compartmentalize the network with the bulkheads, and you train your staff. Does it make your organization bulletproof?
No,
Right.
absolutely not.
Right.
Any managed service provider who promises 100% prevention is selling you a dangerous myth.
So wait, if absolute prevention is impossible, why are we doing all of this? If a highly motivated state-sponsored actor or some massive ransomware cartel targets a mid-sized law firm, they're eventually going to find a way in. So what's the actual end game here?
The end game is resilience.
Okay.
We have to shift our focus from this impossible goal of absolute prevention over to the highly achievable goals of rapid detection and immediate containment.
So it's about metrics like mean time to detect and mean time to respond.
Exactly. If an attacker breaches the perimeter, but your EDR and ITDR detect the lateral movement in 2 minutes,
Right.
and they automatically isolate the compromised endpoint and alert the security team. The attack is completely neutralized before any data is exfiltrated.
And that right there is true digital independence.
Yes, it's acknowledging that the environment is hostile, but engineering your system so that a breach is just a minor, contained operational hiccup rather than, an existential, business-ending catastrophe.
But actually achieving that level of resilience requires a formalized plan. I mean, you cannot build a response strategy while all your monitors are flashing a red ransom demand.
Definitely not. Kaplan heavily highlights the necessity of a written, tested incident response and disaster recovery plan.
Because during a live cyber event, panic is basically your biggest enemy.
Oh, 100%. An incident response plan dictates exactly who has the authority to, say, sever external network connections. It details the precise protocol for notifying legal counsel or calling your cyber insurance carrier before making any public statements.
It outlines the step-by-step technical procedures for safely restoring from those immutable backups. It's kind of like a tabletop exercise for a fire drill. You don't wait until the server room is filling with smoke to decide who's going to call the fire department.
Exactly. You have to know beforehand. But, architecting this level of layered defense, the zero trust principles, the EDR deployments, the compliance alignment, and the incident response testing, it's an overwhelming undertaking for a growing organization.
Right, especially when their primary focus is just practicing law or treating patients or building infrastructure.
Which is exactly why CDML Computer Services steps in. Kaplan wrote this piece because CDML acts as that architectural partner. They don't just sell you an antivirus license and walk away.
No, they manage the entire cybersecurity ecosystem.
Right. They deliver the comprehensive framework we've been dissecting today. The network management, the secure voice over IP, and the unified communications setups.
They implement the Microsoft 365 environments with strict role-based access controls.
And they deploy those advanced EDR and ITDR solutions to actively monitor for behavioral anomalies 24/7 by 365.
And crucially, they handle the strategic side, too. They facilitate the employees' security awareness training to harden the human perimeter.
Yeah, and they navigate the complex compliance requirements. Whether that is HIPAA for healthcare or strict financial regulations, they sit down with organizational leadership to actually map out, write, and test those critical disaster recovery plans.
Because true digital independence is really an ongoing operational posture.
It is. It requires continuous visibility, adaptive defenses, and a trusted partner who really understands that securing your data is fundamentally about securing your right to compete and thrive in your market.
Right. As we celebrate the broader concept of independence, we have to recognize that the modern frontier of free enterprise is entirely digital now. If you cannot protect your client's data, you cannot protect your business's future.
It is a profound responsibility, but with the right architecture and the right partner, it is entirely manageable.
It really is. So I want to leave you, our listener, with a scenario to seriously evaluate before your next leadership meeting. Look at your current digital infrastructure, your client management software, your communication tools, your financial records. If a threat actor locked down your entire environment right now, exactly how many days or hours could your organization survive before the trust of your clients and your community was permanently broken?
That is the big question. And the answer to that question dictates your entire cyber strategy moving forward.
It absolutely does. And a quick reminder, if you want to stay ahead of these evolving threats and build that resilience, new insightful blog posts, just like this one from CDML, are published every Tuesday and Thursday. Make sure you stay tuned to keep your organization secure, informed, and growing. We're Jemmy and I. Thanks for listening. Till next time.